Real quick before this video starts, I'm testing different angles for where I'm putting the camera, TV, pictures, desks, blah, blah, blah. Let me know if you like this angle or should I go back to the other one. I want to start this video off making one thing abundantly clear. I have no dog in the race in terms of who is our starting quarterback next season, Aiden O'Connell or Gardner Minshew. I want the best quarterback, the quarterback that gives us the best chance to win games and make the playoffs, to start week 1, 2024 at the Chargers. But the reason I'm making this video is because we have to discuss the outcome and the repercussions of something like Gardner Minshew beating out Aiden O'Connell. Now, I firmly believe that Aiden O'Connell is going to beat out Gardner Minshew, not because he was a better quarterback than him last year. I mean, clearly, Gardner Minshew was the better quarterback. He beat us with worse weapons. But from what I've seen in the offseason with Aiden O'Connell and how he's getting his body right, he's getting mentally prepared, and he's already had the advantage of working with the weapons that we currently have, I do see AOC beating out Gardner Minshew. But I've said time and time again, if Gardner Minshew is the one who starts week 1 and not Aiden O'Connell, I think it's going to say more about the positives of Gardner Minshew than it will be the negatives of Aiden O'Connell. And what do I mean by that? I do not think Aiden O'Connell is going to lose this job because he didn't give it his absolute all. It might just be that Gardner Minshew is the better player, which is totally okay. Like I've said with Gardner Minshew in the past, he's made some plays, he's got a decent arm, he's got decent mobility. But what he hasn't had around him is the current weaponry we have. He was throwing to Michael Pittman and handing off to Jonathan Taylor after whatever week he came back into the league because he was holding out. And that was about it. Now, Gardner Minshew has a chance to prove himself if he wins this job, throwing to receivers like Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, Trey Tucker, Michael Gallup, handing the ball off to Madison and Zamir White, and playing behind a very good offensive line, and hopefully a play caller who's much improved than Luke Getsy. The reason I say there could be negative repercussions with Gardner Minshew starting, or winning the job, I should say. It has nothing to do with what teammates feel about him, what fans feel about him, what coaches think of him. What negative repercussions it could have is this. If Gardner Minshew, a 28-year-old turning 29-year-old quarterback, beats out Aiden O'Connell, his second season in the league, 25 years old, that means we most likely have not found our quarterback of the future. Gardner Minshew is a bridge for the next great Raiders quarterback. Unless he has a Rich Gannon type resurgence, which he could. I'm not saying that that's not possible, but it's more likely than not that if he wins the job, he'll start this year, maybe the next. We could be in the playoff mix, we could not be, and then we look for our next great quarterback. But if we are in that 8, 9, 10 win range, we were never going to be picking high enough to get the next great quarterback. So we're going to have to sign somebody in free agency like a Dak Prescott and hope that he does better here than he did in Dallas. And Dak is a good quarterback. I don't want to pretend like Dak is the worst thing of all time. He's a good quarterback and he can win a lot of games. He's proven as such. He just can't win in the playoffs. So if Gardner Minshew wins this job, we might be stuck in this Derek Carr type of limbo. We don't have the next great quarterback because we will be winning enough games to not be able to draft that high, but not winning the games when they count. Unless, like I said, he has that Rich Gannon type resurgence. Another reason why I think Gardner Minshew is ultimately bad for the future of the franchise if he wins the job and doesn't become Ryan Tannehill or Rich Gannon is because that means Aiden O'Connell is not the future. Now, there is a small chance, but a chance, that Gardner wins the job for this year and next year, and then after that, Aiden takes the reins. But more likely than not, him beating Aiden means Aiden is not the future of the franchise. And if it's the other way around, not only has Aiden showed that he could beat someone like Jimmy Garoppolo when it counts, but he could beat a veteran that got paid a lot of money. Because there are people that are saying Gardner Minshew is going to start because they paid him so much money. But I'll tell you right now, Antonio Pierce doesn't give a rat's ass whether you make $1 million or $100 million. He's going to start the best available players at the right positions. So if Aiden were to beat out Gardner, that means we are one step closer to finding the franchise. And if we are winning 8 or 9 games with Aiden O'Connell, that means there's still room for improvement. It's more likely than not that we have not found the ceiling of Aiden O'Connell, and it is more likely than not that we have found the ceiling of Gardner Minshew. So if we were to start Gardner Minshew, that would tell me they don't think Aiden is the future of the franchise unless he comes back 3 years from now and still starts. And with Gardner Minshew starting, you have to understand that he's probably reached the peak abilities of his physical attributes. if he comes in and plays well with the weapons, maybe we could sneak a division win. You never know. Injuries could happen, or we can just battle our way to the top. And with this great defense, Gardner Minshew maybe falls into the category of quarterbacks you can win a Super Bowl with. I think there's levels to the quarterbacks in the league. There are quarterbacks you can win multiple Super Bowls with, and those are the Mahomeses, the Burrows, the Josh Allens, maybe Lamar Jackson in there. I'll have to give him credit. He's a 2-time MVP, although he consistently cannot get it done in the playoffs. And then there are quarterbacks that you can win a Super Bowl with. Dak Prescott, Derek Carr, Kirk Cousins. We'll see where Jordan Love fits into the mix. But there are people in the right situations, in the right season, that you can go all the way with. And I think Gardner is one of those people if the pieces are around him. That's the same way I felt about Derek Carr. I never thought that he can be a perennial Super Bowl champion after the 2019 season or whatever. Maybe in 2016 we thought we found the next Tom Brady. But you could win a Super Bowl with him. And that's why it was so hard to let go of Derek, because it's so difficult to find guys that you can compete with. And we were consistently in games with him. It wasn't him being able to put us over the top that was the reason we moved away from him. And I don't think Gardner Minshew can be that much better than Derek Carr at this moment in my brain. We'll see how he does with the weapons we currently have. Aiden O'Connell is in that same limbo of he is probably a quarterback you can win a Super Bowl with if he improves and becomes that Derek Carr type player. But I see his peak being Jared Goff. Jared Goff has been to a Super Bowl and lost. He's been to another NFC Championship game with a different team. If Aiden O'Connell hits his ceiling and it's Jared Goff, that would mean that Gardner Minshew is not the quarterback. So when I say negative repercussions, it has nothing to do with the player or person that Gardner Minshew is. I'm rooting for him just like I'm rooting for Aiden. And like I said before, I want to see the best player win. But him winning would tell me a lot about the quarterback underneath him and how the franchise sees us moving forward. And with him starting and winning that job, I don't see us finding a good avenue to get a top quarterback unless we trade up again and there's a team in the position in the draft where they don't need a quarterback and they could trade back. Like we saw this offseason during the draft, it's really hard to trade up when there are needy teams who need quarterbacks. And I thought it would be easier to trade up for Jaden Daniels. I said as much. I was wrong. I think we were content with letting Michael Penix fall to us, letting these two guys battle it out, and then having Penix take over eventually. But now that's not the case, and we have to hope that even though we win 7 to 10 games with Gardner, if he wins the job, we're able to find a way to get that next-rate quarterback. And if it happens to be Dak Prescott, we'll see what happens. I think Dak is better than Gardner. I think he's better than Aiden at this current moment. We'll see how Aiden progresses, like I said. But the winner of this quarterback competition really will show us the trajectory of where this team is going. Because if it's Gardner, I've already told you how I feel about that. But if it's Aiden, that means they've seen massive improvements from year one offseason into year two. And I've already seen those improvements, and they've given him first-team reps. And if he wins the job, you should be extremely excited, even if you're Team Gardner. You should be extremely excited because that means this. They think the future of the franchise could be on this roster. And like I said, if they give it to Gardner, and not give it to Gardner, if Gardner takes the job and wins it rightfully, that doesn't mean they don't think he could be the potential franchise moving forward. I just think it's a harder path for Gardner Minshew to turn into Rich Gannon than it is for Aiden O'Connell to turn into Jared Goff. So I just want to reiterate one more time. I do not think it's a negative for Gardner Minshew to be the starting quarterback. I think it could have some negative impact on our franchise moving forward because we'll be in this constant state of limbo. And we might be in that limbo with Aiden, but he's 25. He's not 28 turning 29. That means he's younger and he has the ability to raise his ceiling, and his floor is already his floor. So, for the good of the franchise, it would be better for Aiden to win the job. But for the good of the franchise right now in this current moment, Gardner might be the better player. We're kind of stuck in this weird circle, and if our defense is good enough to carry us to the division win, which it could be, we played the Chiefs better than anybody last year, and we played them twice, then this might not matter. This could be an irrelevant conversation. We are clearly building around the defense and in the trenches. And if that's the case, then we just need somebody to make the right reads and not turn the ball over. And if that happens, we can win a lot of games. I just don't want us to get stuck in the same limbo that we were in with Derek Carr. Won a lot of games, lost a lot of games, and if Gardner wins the job, I fear that could be our trajectory. With that being said, I love Gardner. I'm rooting for him. Nothing but the best. You and AOC, go battle it out. Comment below, let me know your thoughts on all of this. Am I crazy? Do you like what I was saying? Check out the Patreon, patreon.com/ALLaBorde Raiders. You can sign up to support me further. I'm trying to make this a full-time job, and that would be much appreciated. But it's not just signing up to sign up. You get things like ad-free content, videos early, your name at the end of the credits. The Discord is rocking and rolling. OTAs are starting, and we're going to be talking about all the clips they put out there. Link is in the description below. Please be sure to subscribe. It is free, after no charge to you. I love you guys, and I'll see you next time.